You're yeah, we're live now on Facebook, so yep, it's nice to see you guys again.
You sure we're live?
Yeah,
Live?
I'm 100% sure. Do not ask me how I always know this before you, Raj. You always do this.
We're live now, yes, because of my.
No, no, we were live when I said it. Watch it on the replay, trust me.
Good.
Anyway, we always have this running joke. Right, so welcome to everyone. First of all, happy New Year. We are finally, for better or for worse, transitioned out of 2020 and now into 2021. So thank you. We just basically came out of our first talk this year with the men, Mindful Men's Club. This week's topic, I guess this morning's topic, was Your Body Matters. Quite timely because a lot of people, we've been making New Year's resolutions. We'll be doing, I guess, a lot of people will be joining the gym and then canceling the gym 6 months later. Hopefully, there's not too many people. But like always, we went super deep in so many different facets of conversation about the different depths of what it just means. What does your body matter mean actually? And it was pretty eye-opening, wasn't it, guys, in terms of some of the stuff that people were sharing from all the books, the tools, the techniques, meditation, to just the statement, right? What does it mean? And I think one thing that was really interesting, Viraj, when you're taking the men through the slides, and we asked everyone to literally take pen to paper, and it's like, you know, when you sign a contract or when you sign a check or when you're signing deeds to your house or whatever it is, right? It's you're making a physical commitment, and it's a contract, and it's no different when you write things down. So we asked all the men to actually physically take a pen to paper and write down, why does your body matter? And then ask them to actually come up with not analyze anything, but just literally be authentic and present in the moment and really just share what came to mind. And some of the shares were really amazing, weren't they, guys? It was like there were a lot of personal shares. You know, there were some common shares that all the guys agreed with, and it's quite, I guess it's just eye-opening, right? It's like and if you guys try it, it's no different from journaling, right? It's the essence of journaling, right? Why do you write things down? And we write things down because when you write something down, it's a transfer of energy from, it's a transition of energy actually from your mind. So something that's a thought to your mind travels down all your body into your fingertips, through your fingertips. And when you write something down, you think, wow, okay, those are my words. They're not the noise or the hype or other people are telling me, they're my words. And then it's like, how deep do you want to go? And then we actually went into, do you believe those words? Do you honor those words? Then it's, what action are you going to take, right? And we talked about to-do lists, and to-do lists can be powerful, but they can also be useless, right? Because a to-do list can confirm and can be a list that basically just never gets done. And it's because you don't actually believe what you've written down. And I think we talked about delayering, didn't we? And many references. I mean, Viraj, you can talk about the golden circle. I'll let you cover that bit. But we talked about so many different references that if you don't believe what you say, then you're not gonna, I mean, 99% you're not gonna actually achieve what you tend to achieve, right? Because you just don't believe it. There's no conviction, right? It's just like a New Year's resolution. And I'm not dissing New Year's resolutions, because if that's a catalyst of change, that's amazing. If the change is sustainable change. And I
Yeah.
think that's the key, right?
And I think it's starting at how, if we look at our body, let's say, right, that's really the foundation of everything. You know, whatever material duties, responsibilities, or desires that we have, like none of that will ever be actualized if we're not, say, physically here to actually be able to receive it or be able to. There's no point in setting up these goals or punching that location in the GPS of our life where the car isn't going to function or get us there. So it's just really getting present to how can we begin to start with what is it that's going to work for us from in the physical sense, in terms of why the body matters and the various different functions it has, to be able to go out and really execute the things that matter. And I think for everyone watching right now, I think it's a good time just to kind of share Maslow's hierarchy of needs, where when we look at it from the perspective of all these different things that we have right now, like self-actualization, purpose, these are kind of a lot of the buzzwords that we see a lot of right now. But yet, none of that's sort of at the top of this pyramid. It isn't until we start at the base of, what are some of our physiological needs right now? Breathing, food, water, sex, sleep, homeostasis, the equalization of our hormones, and how we get rid of the waste and the toxins in our body. If that's not even in decent shape, we're going to feel the pinch and sort of the fight or flight of the lack of security or the lack of belonging. But then what we do is we still tend to ignore how, the housing, the mechanism that we have that's going to be able to handle all of these things, let alone being able to go up the pyramid and actualize things like purpose and meaning and things like that as well. And even in the spiritual context, like you can't achieve any kind of spiritual growth unless the actual vessel itself isn't in good stead to be able to handle that journey as well. So it was really, really good when we were talking about this and breaking this down in the group, how a lot of people were focusing, the primary focus has been on some of the top tiers, but actually are in a bit of a habit where the physiological side of things is being neglected or not as much of a priority as the other things.
Yeah, it's quite powerful, and I think a lot of things that came out. I mean, there's so many things. I took a few notes down, but authenticity came out, right? That was a word that came out in terms of being authentic to yourself. Like balance came out. I think yeah, lots of and I guess one of the interesting conversations were that when you're on the path to having a great, whatever that is, health journey, in terms of and the topic was your body matters, what are the other jolts that actually can affect it? And a couple of the men mentioned relationships. So for example, exiting a relationship or having poor relationships can actually be a reason why you might actually be sidetracked if you're hardcore into your gym and your fitness, etc. Or it could be financial loss of job or whatever it is. But I think and I think the biggest thing, I guess there was lots of takeaways, but the biggest takeaway is you can have the macro vision and the vision of achieving whatever you want to attain, but if you don't take those micro incremental steps, daily 1% positive impact changes, then nothing's going to happen. So to give a real example is, let's say if you want to run, for example, right, but you're just not a runner. Start jogging. You can't jog for whatever reason. Get out of your seat and take some steps, right? Start doing some walking. So I guess, and I think Sagar mentioned something, didn't you, Sagar, about just taking incremental steps daily in terms of whatever you want to do. And I think one of the guys asked about, well, what if I start on this path in a positive way and I get knocked back, and what's the reason? How do I sustain it? And then we talked about, do you actually believe your reason and your why? So what we're talking about is, so why do people start a fitness journey? It could be for a superficial reason, which is still okay. It could be to get a six pack, which is still okay. Most guys, right? That's the reason why most guys go to the gym. It could be for a deeper reason, because you want to be there for your loved ones, your family, your kids. You want to see your grandchildren, etc. You want to play football with your kids. You want to be that healthy dad, etc. So what is your why? And what is your why is an internal question that you have to ask yourself, that why are you doing what you're doing? And it applies to anything in life, right? We talked about compounding effect. So for those I mean, it's a simple term, right? But it's often attributed to Warren Buffett, the billionaire investor, where you compound your investments. But it's no different from compounding your investment in your relationship and compounding investment in the topic of today, which is your body matters. So if you were to compound your investment, how would that look and what does that mean? And it's as simple as taking 10 minutes or 5 minutes out to do something that's healthy, take 5 minutes out to do something that's basically healthy, not just nutrition wise, not just physical wise, but also from your mindset perspective. So I think people make a lot of excuses, don't they? Yeah, including us guys sometimes, right? Let's keep it real. I've been there as well. Whereas we don't have enough time, whereas you've got an abundance of time, right? Something I mentioned that I do, it may not work for everyone, is I get time back. How do I get time back? Is when I go for my walks, I download Audible books, right? I'm listening to a book whilst I'm walking. So I'm getting the byproduct of an exercise. I'm actually getting knowledge, and I'm getting, I'm increasing my serotonin levels because I'm smiling at people when I'm walking and they're smiling back at me. So I feel good, and I've not done anything too strenuous, but if I get my 10K steps in, that's great. I've acquired some knowledge because I've, read a new book, etc. I've met a few people, right? Obviously that I didn't meet. And when I say meet, obviously I'm talking about with social distance. I mean, just literally smiling. You can meet someone with your smile. You don't have to physically have a conversation with them by having words. You can have a conversation with a smile. So I think I think the essence is like, just take daily incremental steps. But before you even do that, just ask yourself a question. Like, write it down. Write down your body matters. I challenge everyone, write it down, and then just share with yourself or with those around you, who you feel comfortable with. What thoughts come to your mind, right? And there was many thoughts that came to people's minds when they wrote, the words "your body matters," and it's almost like that thought-provoking question,
Yeah.
where you
And
look yourself in the mirror.
That's watching now. Like, write down in the chat, why does your body matter? Or what comes to you immediately when you hear your body matters?
And it's different for everyone, isn't it? It's different for everyone. It's like, for me, I shared it was the picture that was actually in my mind when I saw my dad in hospital, right? Because he had he just literally came out of a triple bypass operation, and it's that image that you think, whoa, that's you don't want to be in that state, right? And that's bad. And then whatever that jolt is or kick up the backside that gets you to start your fitness journey or maintain it or sustain it, and then ask yourself, and then that links to your why, and your why has to be so strong that you just do it because it's do it. And then the byproduct of it is that six pack, if that makes sense, or whatever it is, right? That's the superficial reason. It might be the main reason, but I still believe personally, I'm happy to hear some comments from everyone, that is not a strong enough why. A strong enough why has to be something that's personal to you, that's meaningful to you, and something that's basically going to be more, it's going to be more about you than you, meaning it's going to be about others around you, if that makes sense. So for me, it was about family.
And I think you're right. And I think when you start looking at your why, your intention behind whatever you do, right, whether it's your body or with anything, like the intentionality of it has to be clear, and it won't always be the first thing that comes to mind. So as we say, go 7 levels deep if you can. Like, what is the why behind your why behind your why? And when you get to the heart of it, I think what people will connect to mostly is that their why isn't just about themselves, but actually it ties into the point of actualization on the pyramid itself. So we can start to see how, at that physiological level, when we get our body in alignment and working for us, and actually our body is the greatest tool that we have, because without it, we can't do anything. So how can we, as saying the 7 habits, how do we sharpen that? So how do we optimize the ultimate resource that we have for our own sake, for our own, say, mental peace and physiological and material needs? But actually, the real driver behind that is something that's way bigger than ourselves. And that's probably what inspires most of us to actually show up and do whatever it is that we want to do and impact the way that we want to have. And then it's, okay, once that why is present, it's then we're able to identify those small steps of, okay, what is it that I can do today that I can build off tomorrow? Because as we said, what will happen is 2nd of January, everyone will want to typically sign up to a gym. 3 weeks later, gyms are refunding because the why wasn't present, really. It was just, okay, it was almost out of reactive means. But what sustains is that purpose. And when you can just keep reminding yourself of why it is that you're doing it, you're then not that much more aware in the moment of what you do now will have a ripple effect later. Now, one of the guys gave the example of looking at a can of Coke and say, okay, I can have this now and it's fine, but then that could result in a dental bill a few years down the line. Now think about that. How much are you going to spend to then get a dental bill to correct it?
No,
Yeah.
definitely.
Whereas actually, if the intention is, okay, potentially to save some money, but then also having good dental hygiene, you can basically work backwards and find something that's actually really, really compelling that allows you to be empowered and choose what's going to serve you in the moment. And I suppose it's just that process of beginning to unlearn first before you take on anything new. So it's like, what you need to accept as, okay, this is just the way it's been. It doesn't need to stay this way. And then begin to introduce or replace new small steps that are going to now become habitual to who you are.
Yeah, 100%. Asaga, you were going to say something?
Oh, no, I agree. I think what Viraj picked up on earlier and what he mentioned actually, and I think you mentioned that as well, Manoj, is we all find excuses. And don't get me wrong, I think I still do. My vision board is full of things, which I've done for 2 weeks. And then you go back to, do you really need to do it, or you always take a step back? And like I was saying earlier during our Zoom session, where actually, have a bigger goal and then take small steps to achieve that goal. Whereas I've realized that all my goals on my vision board, they're all massive, massive goals. And I just want to get it done then and there. And that's maybe why I'm failing. So hopefully, one of the things taken out from the new year is actually try and I'm going to maybe sort of break that down into maybe a weekly thing or a monthly thing of where I want to get to. Like I was saying earlier in the Zoom session about my weight, right? And I've done whatever I can, whether it was going to the gym or trying to eat, but I've never been able to go above my normal standard weight. And every time I get weighed, it's the same weight. And I'm like, wow, I just don't understand that, because I'm trying to do everything I can to put on weight. But it doesn't matter. And then, what happens, I think, is, you think, okay, I'm going to eat, put on weight. And then you don't put on weight because you don't see the results. So then in the back of your mind, you think, what's the point? I might as well just do what I'm doing. Who cares? Because I'm never going to put on weight. Whereas you change that slight mindset and maybe do something different, and it might not work at that point. But as I said, my last infusion that I had, and when I got weighed, I was so happy that actually my weight has increased, and that's getting me going now, thinking, okay, what else can I do? Because that's actually pumped me up, thinking, okay, this was my target, and this has been my target for the last year and a half, and I've never been able to even go above that 48, right, which is really low. But now being able to go closer and reach closer to my 50, I'm then going to push it to 55 and 60, and hopefully still continue doing the same thing. But you're right. I mean, as I say, it's very hard. I think one of the, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think one of the things we got out of the Zoom sessions today is a lot of people, and I just want to say thank you for some of the new members that joined today as well. And we hope that you found it, sort of informative or got something out from it. But majority of the people that were online today on Zoom, if you read through all our comments or in the chat, everyone has said, well, how do we sustain it? It was all that they were the only comments. We've been trying to do this, but now what's the point of doing it? Because we're not getting results. And I think if we can maybe just change that slightly, that I think results don't come straight away. It does take a lot of effort to put. It's like something that Simon Sinek mentioned is, do you love your wife? And the guy's like, yes. When did you fall in love with her? Right now, it doesn't. And when was the actual moment that you fell in love? So you need to, you might be married or you might be together, but then if you don't flourish that relationship on a weekly, on a daily basis, that will never grow. Same with one of the things that very, very sort of stuck with me is if you want to be, you can't brush your teeth one morning and expect it to be white the next day, right? But how many of us do not wake up in the morning and not brush our teeth? We're conditioned to brush our teeth every day, right? Not because we want to have white teeth, but we are just conditioned. So if you have to keep putting that pressure on, or not pressure on, condition yourself, because the results will come, the white teeth will come, the six-pack will come. But if you're going to go to the gym and think, I'm going to get a six-pack tomorrow, it's not going to happen. And then if that's the reason you're giving up because you didn't get a six-pack in a week,
Yeah.
right?
Putting everything into the process rather than the outcome.
Yeah.
The outcome is at a point in time away that you're not there. And the moment you keep focusing on the outcome, it's like, well, I'm not there yet, so why bother? And I think that's the gap, right? We focus on where we're not, and we lose track of where we are. Whereas actually, if we just narrow it in into, okay, who are we being and what are we doing to get to wherever this place is whenever it's going to come? And it's always good to put a SMART goal on it, right? Because it gives you a direction, it gives you a vision, because without vision, you're just drifting anyway. But then, as you've Roger saying as well, it's consistency over time. If you just focus on the process, on the road to get you to the end result, you'll find that there's a lot of wins that you're picking up along the way, rather than this one big singular win you're trying to get at some point in the future.
And it's also about, you talk about wins, right? And I think I loved it when you shared that, Saga, because I was so happy for you. But it's all about celebrating your wins as well. So it's like Saga's been trying to put on, weight for so long, and it's finding it challenging because obviously he suffers from Crohn's disease. So it's something that he's talked about publicly before. And it's amazing, right? That now that's that spark or that catalyst or that boost, and it's now about sustaining it, right? And something you mentioned, both of you mentioned about how do you bridge that gap. Something we did talk about actually is how bridging that gap is by having actual affirmations, right? So not an affirmation, an affirmation, right? So you have hope and wishes, and then you have affirmations, which is great. But then what's more powerful is affirmations, which is an affirmation with an action, right? So it's something you firmly believe in. You say to yourself every single day. I think, Saga, you gave a great example. I'll let you cover that with Vishen Lakhani. And if you guys don't know Vishen Lakhani, definitely check him out from Mindvalley. So I'll let Saga cover that, about how you might be in a physical state, but in your mind you might be in a different state of mind, right? And it's and what your mind believes is what you conceive. We all know that to be true. So I think, Saga, do you want to just share what you actually shared, because I think it's quite powerful.
Yeah. So I think, Viraj, if you can share the A-Fest YouTube link, actually, because I mean everyone connects to different people, so there might be so many people on watching this now live, you may not connect to it, which is understandable, and that's all good. I'm just letting you know that, of course, I connected with this quite a bit and especially with my result recently in terms of my weight, just confirmed that actually when you want to do something and not just for doing it for everyone else, but actually having and trying to sustain what you can. So Vishen Lakhiani said, he's been trying to lose weight, or not even lose weight. He's trying to find just muscle and not be big. And, he's been, because he wanted to get to a specific structure, he always went to the gym. He's paid millions and millions of, like, thousands and thousands of pounds to coaches to actually coach him to exercise and diet and everything else. And nothing worked. And he's been doing this for the last 2.5 years. Nothing worked. And then finally he came across one of these guys who's actually one of a very good coach and a friend of Vishen's now, and part of Mindvalley. And one of the things that this guy said for him to do is to look in the mirror and actually try and vision what you want to look like. And so Vishen Lakhiani every single day would actually look in the mirror and say, wow, do you know what? I'm hot. I'm the stud. I've got a six-pack. Look at my body. This is who I am. However, he was big, but he conditioned himself and his mindset that this is who I am. This is what I'm looking at. Not I'm looking at someone who's big. I'm looking at someone who's got a six pack and a stud. And of course, his inner demons are playing with his mind, saying, actually, you're looking wrong. You know, there's nothing six pack about you, mate. And because Vishen didn't want to listen to his inner demons, and he was like, no, actually, I have got a six pack. I can see it right in front of me. I've got a six pack. He kept saying the same thing over and over again, beating the inner demons. And within 7 months, he got to the physical structure that he wanted to, you know, and it's something so small because he didn't have to spend money, right? He didn't have to go out of his way to spend money and make time for doing this. All he did was just look in a mirror, which everyone has at home, you know? And so something so, when we think of it in a bigger thing and we think, oh my God, I might be able to do this. Shall I do this? Actually, when you take a step back, and I think one of my very close friends, Janul, a very good coach and a friend of mine, he always says that actually, instead of us overthinking something, slow down, take a step back, slow down, and actually you then see results. Because sometimes we try and do this to get this. However, that could have been still achieved by doing just one small thing, right? So yeah, I mean, guys, I know Viraj just shared it. I mean, I definitely, yeah, A-Fest and Reshape Your Bodies is such an amazing talk. So please do have a look through it and let us know your comments, you know, whether it's on the Mindful Men's Facebook group. Let us know your thoughts, and we'll be happy to share more on YouTube as well. And we'll share the link of what's come out of today, guys, as well.
Just to add to what Saga said, obviously, disclaimer, right? You're not going to get a six pack by just looking in the mirror. But the essence of the share was that changing your belief system and changing your habits and conditioning your mind to have a daily routine and a belief system that you're visualizing what you already have in your mind, irrespective to what you already may have, for example, relative to, in that case, relative to the actual body composition, right? Because it's powerful. Because if you don't believe in it, who else is going to believe in it? I think that's the essence of it, right? You have to take action, but if you don't believe in it, and it comes down to really deep delayering. Why are you doing it? Who are you doing it for? What's the reason you're doing it? What's your purpose of doing it? And if you can figure all these things out, and then you start doing something, it's like I don't know about you guys, but I'm not really great at my health journey right now and where I am right now, and I'm taking steps to get back onto where I was. But what always served me was to do it in reverse order. So what I mean by that is to get my mindset right, then to get once my mindset's right, then to really meditate on my why. Once I get my why really deeply understood, is then to slowly, timely introduce nutrition, right? Not diet, nutrition. Then once I've introduced nutrition, and I mean slowly over a few weeks, then to introduce mild exercise. And for me, that literally has been my kind of I guess secret sauce, whatever you want to call it, that's worked for me. But back to Saga's point, what works for us may not work for you guys, and what works for you guys actually may work for us, but we just haven't tried it yet. So just please feel free to share that's something that's worked for you, and it just might help somebody else, right? But sustainability is the biggest thing, isn't it, really?
Yeah.
Every year it's the same thing on social media. It's like New Year's resolutions, join the gym, do this, do that, all great, all positive stuff. And if it becomes a catalyst for sustainability, for sustainable change in your life, that's massive. But if it's just like this, then it's like I mean, yeah, you look like,
I still do that though, mate. So let's hope.
no, but it's normal to do that. We all do it. But I'm saying that I guess the difference between making something momentary in your life and making something like a fad and making something that's, like you say, brushing your teeth every single day, is making it a routine and conditioning yourself, right? But then you can't just wake up and condition yourself. You have to really understand, why do you want to attain what you want to attain, and what does it mean to you, and what does it mean to people around you? And once you can do that and you really believe in it, then you block out all the noise that surrounds you, and you just, like you said, right, you suppress your inner demons, and then you just do it. But you're doing it because you're doing daily incremental small steps that lead to that macro vision. Like you mentioned in your vision board, right? If you take daily steps, what seems unsurmountable 6 months ago, isn't it amazing that you've already done it? Like you mentioned, the year and a half that you tried to attain an increase in weight, and you've already done it. So it's amazing, right? It's amazing. It's
I
quite
think what it
powerful.
comes down to, which you hit the nail on the head, is that more often than not, whenever we want to achieve a goal, we dive straight into it without doing the groundwork.
Mm.
And that could be anything from a career, wealth, relationships. Like we immediately jump into big action without realizing why, not just why we're doing it, but what's the thought process. What you almost need. It reminds me actually of one of the 7 habits, right? Sharpening the saw. We're not even setting ourselves up correctly at the beginning to begin to make those inroads and take those steps and establish that consistency, which again just really brings it back to the Maslow thing, right? We're going for self-actualization, esteem, all this stuff, but the why, the setup isn't correct. And I think that's the thing we need to remind ourselves of, is that how do we set ourselves up to succeed in what we want to do before we jump in and start taking the action? Because otherwise we're going to dive into something and we may find, okay, it's a little bit too deep for us to be able to swim. So we'll just get back out the pool and then just kind of sit there and jump in again, versus actually, hang on, how do I set this up? So it's that almost the pause before the action, right? Is like, okay, what do I need to put into place and why am I doing this? And where do I begin to start, so that the big thing becomes really, really small pieces that become wins that just give you momentum, which then give you the drive to continue to do it. And then who you end up becoming is the person that's going to attract what it is that you're after, rather than trying to chase and force that thing to come to get to that certain place.
Definitely. I just wanted to share a couple of things that I wrote down from some of the men that shared. I don't want to mention the men's names, but just some comments that were, I thought, pretty amazing. So one from one of the guys was, always be authentic to yourself and remember to fill your soul. Another one was, show yourself compassion. I think as men, sometimes we don't often do that, right? Is to show yourself compassion. We're always beating ourselves up, thinking, oh, we didn't do this, we didn't do that, etc. Well, just be nice to yourself. So I thought that was quite powerful. I mean, there was loads of stuff that we covered. I think it's, I would love to just like replay what the talk that we had, because we have so many deep conversations, but unfortunately we can't obviously just replay it because it's not recorded on purpose, because we're protecting the private space for the men who turn up every 2 weeks to be on those. The reason why we're showing extracts to our audience is to give you an insight, literally just a glimpse of some of the conversations that we've had. And also why we do this is because for the men and women who listen, so if you're a female and you've got men in your life, which obviously you do have in whatever form, then it just may be something that may help them, right? With just basically being in that space where they can just talk freely, not be judged, not have any expectations, and have typical blokes, just like I keep saying this, but we're as regular as you can get, right? And where you're having normal conversations, where you're laughing, you're joking, you're having serious conversations, and you're just being free in mind and spirit to just say what you're going to say. And it's amazing that it always puts a smile on my face when you have, I'm sure as with you guys, right, where we have new members joining. I say members, that's the wrong word, because there's no membership. Don't know why I said members, but we have new guys joining where we just don't know where they're coming from, which is great, because we don't know who's watching, who's not watching. And it's not about who's watching, who's not watching. It's like helping, being part of the mission to make sure that another man doesn't become a statistic to suicide. And I think that's our cause, and that's our drive, and that's what we do every 2 weeks. And it's just it just puts a smile to my face knowing that there's more people out there, and we learn so much from them. It's amazing. Like, I'm sure you guys have written loads of notes down. I've written quite a few. I think I'm on 1.5 pages of notes here that I've written down, and it's quite powerful, from all the books, the references. But I guess for me, I don't know about you guys, it's just the personal stories that they share. It's so touching, isn't it? So deep in terms of some of the stuff that they come out. And you realize that you think, do you know what? there's a common thread that exists with all of the men, right? It's just they just don't feel that they have the space to air what they need to share. And I think that's the common theme that keeps coming out every 2 weeks. And we've been doing it since, what is it, February now? Last year? Yeah. So we're coming up to a year now. But in all the conversations, I think that's it's nice and refreshing to, it's almost like a release. You can feel the release, can't you, of the men who join? It's almost like and it's no different from having a escapism, right? But sometimes, and our next topic, actually quite timely, that wasn't
Addictions.
planned, it just came out, is addictions. And it's like everyone has an escapism in life, right? Whether that's a negative escapism. By negative, I mean something that's not conducive to your health. So it could be a toxic addiction, it could be alcohol. And I'm not saying alcohol is bad, by the way. I'm saying in moderation, right? I'm saying, you can go down, whether it's smoking or drinking or drugs or whatever it is, or gambling. And there's many other types of addictions. Those are the kind of four main ones, where there's many other types of addictions, right? So we're going to talk about that in 2 weeks' time. But I think everyone needs or craves or wants escapism. And I think having that escapism and channeling that energy into something positive that's going to be good for you and good for people around you, if you can do that, then that's great. One of the guys mentioned who joined for the first time, he loves to dance. I love to dance as well, right? I'm still waiting for Sagar to invite me to one of his events, but we'll wait for this lockdown to finish and then maybe we'll make that a reality. I'll hold you to that, Sagar. But I think every man, woman, and child needs escapism in their life, right? Whether it's drawing, poetry, dance, business, whatever you want to call it, right? Writing, whatever you want to call it. And I think it's channeling that energy into doing something that's really, really going to help you, help your soul, and help others around you. And I think I was not expecting a topic like Your Body Matters to unearth some of the conversations that were we literally just discussed, right? So it was quite deep. It's quite deep.
I think so. That's how we keep on rolling. And yeah, do you know what? A couple of things. So we're coming up to a year, right? So I think you definitely need to do something just to maybe just a bit of a reflection on our side in terms of how we've evolved from when we had our first actual in-person event before lockdown happened, and how we've been able to do that. But then, yeah, I'm just sharing details of our next event on the 16th of January as well. But I think the biggest takeaway I think that we can all share with everyone is, before you take any action, and obviously we're only just talking here about the body here, but just allow yourself the time to get clear on why you're doing it, what's the impact of you not doing it, what's possible if you do take these small steps towards this. Because without a clear direction, you're just going to drift. So just allow yourself that time and space to just put yourself first, and starting with your own physiology. Honor yourself first before anything else, because otherwise you're just holding yourself back.
Yeah, no, I agree. I just wanted to just again touch base on what Manoj said earlier. It's been coming up to a year, and like you mentioned, Manoj, earlier, it's not just other people finding the space to actually just share, but we've got so much out of it, right? As people that have founded this group, that we've done it from a place of like love, because we've been through something in whichever way we have been. And when we do these topics, which you guys choose, right? Out the people, we always ask people who join our Zoom Facebook lives and also our Zoom sessions of what topics they want to talk about. And it's so weird because every single time when there's a specific topic, whether it's spirituality or money mindset, you always think that as an individual yourself that, yeah, I'm actually all right with money, or yeah, I'm okay with spirituality. And then you get someone else sharing their story and you think, wow, I didn't even think of that. So as well as we've given the platform for everyone else to come and share, we're ourselves are growing in a different way. And people may not see that growth, and that's okay. And as Vera just said, is think about yourself first. And a lot of people think straight away selfish. Well, it's not really selfish, because like we mentioned last time, that if you don't think about yourself and put yourself in the right mindset from the beginning, then all this service that we do, we're doing it half-heartedly. Whereas we have to think about ourselves first, and that's not being selfish. It's about so that we can serve people to another level, right? And we created this group for that reason, but also I just want to make it clear that this group is not here for us to fix people. We do not fix people. We're not counselors. We just actually, it's just a support group where people just have the option to share. They have the option even not to turn their video on. They don't need to say anything. And so, I don't want people to feel like, okay, yeah, this is just another money-making thing, because actually we don't make anything from it. We actually spend 3 hours, I think starting at 11, we finished this virtual thing on Facebook about 2 o'clock. And that's 3 hours well spent for us. We, as Manoj said in one of our Zoom sessions, and I think he said it on this one, we actually look forward. I mean, I actually look forward to this, because it's a 3 hours well spent and we are always on a buzz, right? After we have to take some time out just to meditate ourselves. But
I think that's the thing, right? From us, it's a place of service that, as Manoj said, we just create the space for people to just kind of connect and just kind of put it on the table. And I think generally speaking, what we found is most people are kind of going through various different extremes, I would say, but just, yeah, each theme opens up something that someone can take away a tangible or many tangibles to work on. And that's all we're there to really want to do, is to just provide something that's going to get someone in action, but then also serving themselves, right? I think that's the key. So yeah, as we wrap up, guys, it's been awesome. Like, some awesome recommendations, awesome topics. I've shared as much as I can in the chat with the book recommendations that we set up in our event. So we've got 16th of January, our next private Zoom for men on addiction, and then we do a Facebook Live. So the private Zoom for men is at 11 p.m. to 12:30. Links there to register, so you receive the Zoom login details, and then we do the Facebook Live 15 minutes after we end, which is open for anyone to participate and contribute towards as well. So looking forward to seeing you guys. Yuvrajan, again, thank you for your ongoing support. Pritesh, great to see you. Ravi, great to see you. And thank you, Pritesh, comment here. Humbling to see there are people, avenues, and opportunities to explore in a safe environment. So thanks for doing this. Thank you for being here as well. We really appreciate that. So boys, have a great one. Happy New Year, and we'll see everyone very soon.
Happy New Year.
guys, Happy New Year to everyone. Thank you.
See ya.
Bye bye.